The Miami Dolphins have hired their quarterback coach, and has it tipped off a potential plan for the 2026 NFL draft and the path they could go a quarterback, because it's a name we've discussed all season on this channel, and there are ties between this prospect and the quarterback coach. We're going to dive very, very deep into that, and plus, the Miami Dolphins coaching staff has been finalized. I'll give my thoughts on that, and we will discuss a whole lot more. As always, let's get into this one. What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we're back here for another one, this Valentine's Day edition. And I love each and every one of you for taking some time out of your day to come through and check this out. Should be a good one. Should be a good one indeed. So we're gonna have some all 22 in this one and all that kind of jazz. So it should be a good one. All right. Listen, if you are new here and you like what you hear, what you see in this episode, do me a favor and go ahead and subscribe. And if you are new or have been here for quite some time, smash that like button. It helps me out and goes a long way in helping the channel. I got a few things I want to discuss. First of all, Travis Hunter, as someone who has been pulling him wildly out of Panini packs this year, from autos to parallels and all that kind of stuff. Cameron Wolf reported that Travis Hunter is actually going to be a full-time cornerback and a part-time wide receiver in 2026. So, I mean, I know him coming out, we were all like, okay, what side of the field is he going to land on permanently? It looks like the Jags are leaning towards cornerback. Not going to lie, that doesn't help unless he becomes the greatest cornerback ever. Even still, that doesn't overly help my value. Receiver would. But anyways, I digress. Now if you can go Dion, let's talk. But Travis Hunter, a dynamic player, and that is what it's going to be moving forward in 2026. Now, let's talk about some quarterbacks, and let's talk about Minnesota a little bit here, actually. So, Jeremy Fowler had an interesting report. He said all of the top quarterbacks that are available or could be available want to go to the Vikings. So, I really wonder, you got to think, Kyler Murray, does he go there? Because, I mean, I just think it's everyone's seen the result of Sam Darnold, and everyone know where it really started to turn the corner, and everyone sees JJ McCarthy and everything going on. And you know what's funny about JJ's McCarthy? He might end up being one man's trash as another's treasure. And what I mean by that is, if you remember back in the draft, I had heard rumblings that Harbaugh with the Chargers wanted to draft him. Now, I think them going out and getting Mike McDaniel and getting all this help offensively for Herbert, especially with the coaching staff, to try and get over that hump, is there's going to be no more excuses, and I wouldn't be surprised if JJ McCarthy is eventually traded and it is to the Chargers. I'm just going to put that out there. But yeah, it's no surprise. I mean, Tua Tagovailoa, Kyler Murray would make a ton of sense going there. Kirk Cousins already has a history there, so I'm sure he'd want to go back. You know what I mean? Honestly, I think Tua would be a great fit until they have to go to Green Bay. I mean, Detroit, you're not outside when you got to go to Detroit, when you got to play in that north. But yeah, Green Bay and Chicago are going to be a problem for a team like the Vikings. I've said this before. You got to go to like the Rams, something like that. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, all top quarterbacks that are available. And I wonder if Malik Willis is on that list. Everyone who wants Malik Willis. I wonder if Malik Willis is on that list, because he's thinking I can go make a 2-year stop, and I'm only in my mid-20s. I could get paid again off a 2-year, 3-year deal if I do good enough. That's interesting. Something to think about. And then speaking of Minnesota and the Miami Dolphins, Brian Flores, as well as Steve Wilkes and Ray Horton's ongoing discrimination case against the NFL, that all the coaches' respective claims that had previously been compelled to arbitration can now proceed to open court. Quote, the court's decision recognizes that arbitration forum in which the defendant's own chief executive gets to decide the case would strip employees of their rights under the law, said attorney Douglas H. Wigner and David E. Gottlieb. It's long overdue for the NFL to recognize this and finally provide a fair, neutral, and transparent forum for these issues to be addressed. So basically, we don't think it, and they're not wrong, we don't think it's fair that Roger Goodell gets to oversee arbitration because we all know what he's going to lean in, what they're going to sweep under the rug. So, the eggs have come to hatch for them in that arbitration sense. So that's going to move forward right there. And that's going to be interesting because now Chris Greer is no longer part of the Miami Dolphins. And I wonder if he's a witness. And then continuing with the NFL in court, the NFL did win a grievance over the NFLPA to stop making those annual report cards. You've seen them come out every year. Remember, the Dolphins were number one in like everything on those annual report cards. And this is per Adam Schefter. An arbitrator determined the NFLPA's conduct violated the CBA. The NFLPA may no longer publicize the report cards, which were a major success in showing the public what goes on for every team. And remember, ESPN reported in November that Jets owner Woody Johnson called the reports totally bogus. And apparently he was the one behind it getting stopped. And remember, the Jets and Woody Johnson, they received an F grade from his players last year. So now we no longer have those report cards and those grades that come out, and it's all because of the Jets, and it's all because Woody Johnson got an F from his players because no one respects them. That is sad. So they, because at the end of the day, were they a little propaganda? Sure, but they at least gave you a backdoor look at what players thought of organizations. And in all fairness, you guys use a third party, grading system like PFF and plaster it all over Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football. And you don't give the NFL players, in the NFLPA, you don't give them a say in the matter. It's just because PFF is paying money. They're lining your pockets. So kind of wild. Listen, I want to shout out the sponsor of today's video. And that, of course, is Sleeper. Football has ended, but that doesn't mean the fun is done over at Sleeper. They're still the best daily fantasy sports app out there. And all the action has just begun with the NBA season as well as March Madness right around the corner. Every sport you can think of is available on Sleeper. They just recently launched Team Picks, where you can choose winners of each game. You could take Clemson to beat Duke in college basketball or the Heat to defeat the Hawks after the All-Star break. Whatever the sport you like while football isn't on, you can play Sleeper to make that sport even more exciting. Remember to use my code Phinside to receive a 100% deposit match on your first $100 or get a free $20 courtesy of Sleeper with no deposit required on your end. Terms and conditions do apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Thanks for sponsoring the channel, Sleeper. I appreciate y'all. All right. All of that housekeeping out of the way. Let's go ahead and let's get into some Dolphins news here. All right. So the Miami Dolphins, we've been wondering who the hire was going to be at quarterback coach with Nathaniel Hackett taking an offensive coordinator job. And we now know the answer to that. And the Dolphins, they're expected to hire Mississippi State associate head coach of offense, Bush Hamdan, is going to be the quarterback's coach. Sources told CBS Sports. Ex-Boise State quarterback previously worked in the NFL as the Falcons quarterback coach and helped Matt Ryan ranked 6th in passing yards all the way back in 2017, 110%. He has a definite good background with that. Ryan passed for over 4,000 yards that year. The Falcons went to the divisional round of the NFC playoffs that year. It was pretty good. So it is, it's a first time hire that they've avoided. They got a guy with previous experience. They avoided that whole first time hire. They got a guy with previous experience. Yeah, he hasn't been in the NFL since 2017. Sorry, since 2018 and 2019 when he was with Washington, right? He went over. So what happened was he. Oh, sorry. I apologize. He hasn't been in the NFL since 2017, like I said, with Atlanta. Then 2018, he got an OC job with Washington, right? University, I'm talking about. Then after that, he went to Missouri, where he was wide receiver and quarterback coach. Then he went to Boise State, where he was offensive coordinator and QB coach. Then he left after 2023 and became the offensive coordinator and QB coach for 2024 and 2025 in Kentucky. And now he's in Miami. All right. Now, remember this. Why would he go to Boise State? And even if it was just for a year, he played football there, right? From 2004 to 2008, he was a quarterback there. So he's a former quarterback himself. What's funny, too, is he's from Kuwait, I mean, that's pretty interesting, to be honest with you. Not even funny. That's interesting. He's Palestinian. So that is their quarterback coach right now. And that Boise State stop is very interesting. But honestly, I'm not mad at the hire. The last time he's at the NFL level, I was sitting here telling each and every one of you guys I didn't like what, it took until he got with Aaron Rodgers for Nathaniel Hackett. Matt Ryan, we know how up and down his career was. And 2017, I mean, is sixth highest passer in the NFL. So, I'm interested in this. I'm intrigued. Now, I still think this staff itself, we got a lot, and we'll talk about that. We still got a lot of questions here, but this is an intriguing hire. And at least you got a guy with experience. You avoided getting a first timer. So I like that. I'm gonna give them props to that. Now, does this quarterback coach hire possibly reveal the Miami Dolphins quarterback draft plans? So in 2023 at Boise State, I mean, we all know who he coached, and if you don't know, I'm about to let you know. Bush Hamdan, he was coaching Taylen Green, someone we've talked about on this channel quite a bit. Because remember, before he went to Arkansas, he was at Boise State from 2021 to 2023. He actually won Freshman of the Year in 2022 because he was redshirted, right? He redshirted. So, and in 2022, he went to the Frisco Bowl. That was obviously the year before. So that was right before Hamdan arrived, but Hamdan oversaw him. And, that was a season right before he transferred to Arkansas. Everyone left Boise State and went their own way. Taylen Green went to Arkansas, and then Bush Hamdan, he went to Kentucky. And Taylen Green, listen, I mean, let's get a few things out of the way here. Number one. All right. Number one. First of all, this doesn't even take Malik Willis out of the conversation. What if the plan is to double up at quarterback with Malik Willis and Taylen Green? You can sign Malik Willis to a 1-year, $18 million deal or 2-year, $40 million deal with an out after 1 year, about $25, $30 million guaranteed. Because Taylen Green needs 2 years at least, like a Jordan Love got. You know what I mean? He needs to be groomed. He needs to be developed. He's a project right now. And you look at Taylen Green, and it's hard to deny the traits and what this kid can do on film. Let's roll some tape while I talk about him a little bit, all right? Taylen Green, I mean, you see him here. He is a special talent. He's someone we've talked about all season as an option for the Dolphins outside of day one. You know, you look at John Eric Sullivan and Halfley now in the building, who both come from a storied franchise of drafting quarterbacks with traits that need proper development and grooming. You have to wonder if they'd be more willing to take a shot on someone like Taylen Green. You know, he's as fun as he is downright frustrating at times to watch. You look at him, the traits are undeniable. Excellent athlete, prototypical size. He's 6'6". You know what I mean? He is Paul is a big boy, 6'6", 225. The traits, the prototypical size, absolute cannon for an arm, downright dangerous when he creates with his legs. You know, now he's a ton of work from the pocket is still needed in his game. He needs to become a quicker processor. It's not there right now. Processing is one of his weakest spots. The accuracy in the placement when he isn't in rhythm isn't good. When he's in rhythm, it flashes. When he isn't in rhythm, it's not good. It's very sporadic and bad. And it needs to become much more consistent overall. His decision-making needs improvement too. It needs to be consistently better too. Basically, consistency, that's going to be a huge thing for staff to get out of Taylen Green at the next level. I mean, that said, he easily has one of the highest ceilings in this quarterback class. I expect him to rise up massively in the combine. I really do. I expect him to be one of the top risers in that combine. But, I mean, you see some special stuff from him when you watch. The flashing is all there. He just needs a coaching staff that's willing to work with him. So I like what the packages in terms of Taylen Green, but I mean, he's a guy where, listen, I would draft him, and I've talked about this. You know, the consensus is he's probably going to go in the 4th or 5th round right now. I don't believe that at all. That's where the consensus has him going at. I don't believe that at all. I think you're going to have to use the 75th, the 87th, or the 90th pick to get him. I don't think he's slipping to 111. I really don't. And I wouldn't even shock me if he entered the top 75 or the top 50 after the combine. I mean, he's got potential to run a 4.4. I think he lands in the 4.5s. But if this man is 6'6", 220-ish, and he runs a 4.4 or 4.4, or if he runs a 4.4 or 4.5, look out. You know, look out. And he's done what he's done in the SEC. It's not like Malik Willis at Liberty. You know, I really think Taylen Green has a shot here to enter the top 50. He's in the top 100, 110%. Anything you see that has him available, it's not happening after. I'm sorry. It's not happening after the combine, especially watch. You know, it's not happening. So, listen, again, I go back to, you look at this. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers was taken in the 1st round, but he needed development. His mechanics needed to be reworked. They had to groom him and develop him. They did that. Jordan Love needed a ton of work. They were patient. They did that. Brett Favre was a backup. Taylen Green has all the traits. He has arguably the highest ceiling in this. And I've said this all season. Even when we thought, you know, Dante Moore was coming out potentially, you know, I mean, and everyone knows I'm a Dante Moore guy. I said Taylen Green has one of the highest ceilings in this class. And he might, now with how thin that class is, he might have the highest ceiling in this class. So it's just about what, if you're going to put the right staff around him. And we're bringing in a guy, hey, when we were bringing in Nathaniel Hackett, I wondered, is it luring in Aaron Rodgers? Now you got to ask yourself, bringing in a guy with experience and familiarity with arguably the most intriguing prospect at the quarterback position, ceiling-wise, who checks a bunch of the boxes of the regime John Eric Sullivan came from with them and how they drafted and handled Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers in terms of what was needed in development and grooming and patience. It's makes sense. It makes sense. So something to definitely keep in mind and definitely ponder. So from there, let's finish off with that coaching staff. Okay. We have the coaching staff in Miami is now finalized. So here are your offensive coaches. Bobby Slowick is your offensive coordinator. Matt Applebaum is back for a second time. He's your assistant offensive line coach. Liddell Betts is your running back coach. We now know Bush Hamdan is your quarterbacks coach. Lemuel Jean-Pierre is now assistant tight ends coach. He is no longer an assistant offensive line coach. He's now an assistant tight ends coach. This guy just he's lasted 3 regimes now. This guy just doesn't go away. He's been here since Flores, been through Mike McDaniel, and now here. Jonathan Krause is the assistant wide receiver coach. We now know our tight ends coach. It's Ron Middleton. Kevin Patullo is the pass game coordinator. Tyke Tolbert is your wide receiver coach. Your offensive assistant is Leander Wallace, and Zach Yenser is a offensive line coach for the Miami Dolphins. And then your defensive coaches. Sean Duggan is your defensive coordinator. Been with Hafley since Ohio State through Boston College. Apparently, LaFleur didn't want him to leave Green Bay, but he has left and followed Hafley to Miami. Jamil Adai is a defensive backs coach. Great hire. Love that. Grabbing him from Buffalo. Joe Barry is the run game coordinator, senior defensive assistant. One of the holdovers from the last regime. So is Austin Clark. You guys all know I think so highly of Austin Clark, so I'm glad to see him stick around. Wendell Davis, your assistant linebackers coach. Sariki Diabate is a defensive quality control coach. Ryan Downward, defensive backs coach and passing game coordinator. Love that hire. Great hire. Chuka Nudule is your assistant defensive line coach. Deshaun Sheed is your assistant defensive backs Nichols coach. And Al Washington is your linebackers coach. And then your special teams is Chris Tabor is the coordinator. Brock Olivo is the assistant special teams coach. And Darius Eubanks is the special teams assistant. So there is your finalized coaching staff under Jeff Hafley. I've said this before. I think the defense is going to be good. I think they're going to be good. I think the offense is the very definition of wait and see, from the quarterback situation to how the offensive line is going to shape out, to how the wide receiver room and tight end room are going to shake out, because Waddle needs help and we need tight ends, all the way to that staff. What's Slowick going to look like in his second go as an OC, et cetera, et cetera. So, and then obviously, what's Kevin Patullo going to look like a pass game coordinator? Are we going to get 2022, 2023, or are we going to get 2024, 2025 results, which were not good in Philly? So, I even though there's holes on defense, I think our defense is going to be really good this year. I just got a feeling. Check this out. As of February 13th, Zach Wilson's contract is void, leaving behind $3.8 million of a dead cap with the Dolphins in 2026. So, we're talking about the quarterback situation now. The Zach Wilson era, which I said was pointless from the beginning, is pointless and over. Thank God. I told you guys exactly what this was going to be, and there was no point. There was no, what a waste of money. And then finally here, Keyshawn Johnson, he thinks Tua can be redeemed. He was talking to Jordan Schultz. Listen to what he said.
Who's the young quarterback that you feel like hasn't popped yet, but could in the right situation.
The guy, if he can stay healthy and he finds the right coach and the right system, is Tua. Because he's done it at a high level at Alabama. I've seen the Miami Dolphins with him when he's healthy, and I've seen the Miami Dolphins without him. And that tells me if you got the right coach in the right situation and understands the player, you can work miracles with him. I don't need him to carry the team. I just need him to drive the bus and not sideswipe cars. And if he can do that, he's a guy I think in the right situation can get you to places you're trying to go.
Honestly, I've been saying it all season. If he's smart, you know, because the wife probably loves the warm weather, go to the Rams, back out Stafford if he's coming back, and then take the reins after Stafford leaves. Let them groom you for a year in their system. San Diego, where you can go work with 3D QB, is right there. That's what I would do. You're indoors. You know, you're in the West, so you're going to be playing like San Fran, and you're going to have, I know, well, Seattle isn't, but you know what I'm saying? You're going to have mild to warm weather teams. You know what I mean? So if I was Tua and I got out of the contract, I would suck it up, go as a backup. I think McVay and Shanahan are his best bet. Go to either the godfather of McDaniel and Shanahan or go to the best coach the godfather has produced. You know, you're not going to Green Bay. I mean, you don't want to go to that cold weather. But that's the advice I would give him. Go to LA or go to San Francisco. That would be my advice. So I think he could, you know, everyone was impressed with what Mac Jones did when he came in for relief with Purdy. He'd be the perfect backup for Purdy. You know, we all know how, at their peak, we all know how similar their games are. So we'll see. Can they create some trade value for him and some trade intrigue for him? We'll see. Listen, do me the favor, smash that like button. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. Also, please help out and check out another sponsor of this channel. That, of course, is Clean the World. And Clean the World, listen, since it was established in 2009, they have distributed over 80 million bars of soap. Okay, they have diverted over 9 million pounds of plastic amenity bottles and over 29 million pounds of total waste from landfills. And they've helped Clean the World Foundation provide an estimated 17 billion individual hand washes to those in need across the globe. By recycling soap and other discarded hygiene products, Clean the World saves lives with items that traditionally end up in landfills. You can donate or even volunteer to help Clean the World's cause at cleantheworld.org. That's cleantheworld.org. Listen, I appreciate each and every one of you coming through. Smash that like button. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. I will catch you guys on the next one as draft and free agency is upon us. And we're going to be diving further and further into it as the days go by here. So I will check each and every one of you out next time. Happy Valentine's Day. I love y'all for supporting me. See you on the next one. Fins up. Have a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, night, whenever you're watching this. Love y'all.